Hello everybody, I'm the airplane expert Hideki. Welcome to my channel. Today, I'm going to review an airplane with a beautiful diecast model. I'd like to introduce Republic F-104B Thunderchief 108 TFW 141 TFS New Jersey ANG Bicentennial from HobbyMaster. The Republic F-105 Thunderchief was an American supersonic fighter bomber used by the United States Air Force. It was originally designed as a single-seat nuclear attack aircraft. When the Thunderchief entered service, it was the largest single-seat, single-engine combat aircraft in history. It could exceed the speed of sound at sea level and reach Mach 2 at high altitude. The F-105 was the first fighter to have a bomb bay inside the aircraft, and its loading capability made the genre of light bombers unnecessary. It was even said that this plane made a mistake in the identification code F and B. It can carry up to 14,000 pounds, 6,400 kilograms, of bombs and missiles. It meant that it could carry more bombs than the American heavy bombers of World War II, such as the Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress and the Consolidated B-24 Liberator. Republic Aviation started the Thunderchief as an internal project to replace the RF-84F Thunderflash. The new aircraft was intended primarily for supersonic, low-altitude penetration to deliver a single, internally carried nuclear bomb. The emphasis was placed on low-altitude speed and flight characteristic, range, and payload. The YF-105A prototype first flew on the 22nd of October 1955, with the second YF-105A flying on the 28th of January 1956. In spite of being powered by a less potent J57P25 engine with 15,000 pound force, 67 kN, of afterburning thrust, the first prototype attained the speed of Mach 1.2 on its maiden flight. But Republic views the prototypes as not being representative of the true capability of the aircraft due to numerous changes prior to production. Insufficient power and aerodynamics problems with transonic drag, as well as Convair's experience with their F-102, led to the redesign of the fuselage to conform to the area rule, given its characteristic wasp waist. The first pre-production YF-105B flew on the 26th of May 1956. In combination with the distinctive forward-swept variable geometry air intake, which guided airflow to the engine at supersonic speeds, and the J75 engine, this redesign enabled the F-105B to attain Mach 2.15. In March 1956, the USAF placed a further order for 65 F-105Bs and 17 RF-105Bs. In order to conduct a nuclear mission, an MA-8 fire control system, AN APG-31 ranging radar, and K-19 gun sight to allow for toss bombing were integrated. The first production F-105B was accepted by the Air Force on the 27th of May 1957. In June 1957, Republic Aviation requested that the F-105 be named Thunderchief, continuing the sequence of the company's Thunder name aircraft: P-47 Thunderbolt, F-84 Thunderjet, and F-84F Thunderstreak. The USAF made the name officially a month later. Later, the RF-105 became so expensive that it was cancelled, and in the end, only 65 F-105Bs were produced by 1959, after which production shifted to the F-105D. The F-105B entered USAF service with the Tactical Air Command's 335th Tactical Fighter Squadron of the 4th Tactical Fighter Wing in August 1958, although the squadron did not become fully operational until 1959. On the 11th of December 1959, an F-104B piloted by Brigadier General Joseph Moore, commander of the 4th Tactical Fighter Wing, set the world record of 1,216.48 miles per hour, 1,958 km per hour, over a 62-mile, 100-kilometer circuit. Difficulties with its avionics and the MA-8 fire control systems were experienced early on. Typically, the F-105 required 150 hours of maintenance for each flying hour. Most of these problems were addressed and the project optimized. The lack of spares resulted in the entire F-104B fleet being briefly grounded in 1960. In 1964, modified F-105Bs with ballast replacing the cannon, fuselage and wing reinforcement for acrobatics, and the addition of the smoke generator briefly flew with the United States Air Force Thunderbird's demonstration team. After only 6 shows, a fatal accident from overstressing the airframe led to the reintroduction of the F-100D Super Sabre. By 1964, the F-104B was renegated to USAF Air National Guard ANC Squadrons. It was replaced in frontline service by the definitive F-105D, whose advanced NASA R-14A radar and AN/ASG-19 Thunderstick fire control system gave it all-weather capability. The R-14A radar also added a terrain avoidance radar capability, which a completely new instrument panel was fitted, replacing dial-type instrument with vertical tape instruments which were easier to read in combat. In order to accommodate the new radar, with a much larger radar dish, the forward fuselage was redesigned, increasing overall length by 16 inches, 41 centimeters. The Thunderchief was rapidly withdrawn from USAF service after the end of the Vietnam War. Of the 833 F-105s built, a combined 395 F-105s were lost in Southeast Asia, including 334, 296 F-104Ds and 38 two-seaters, lost to enemy action, and 61 lost in operational accidents. Following the war, the USAF began transferring the remaining aircraft to Air Force Reserve AFRES and Air National Guard ANG unit. By the late 1970s, these aging Thunderchiefs were becoming difficult to maintain. The last flight of the F-105 Thunderchief was by the AFRES 466 Tactical Fighter Squadron with F-104Ds on the 25th of February 1984. This model is the F-105B Thunderchief, 108 TFW, 141 TFS, New Jersey, ANG. The modern-day National Guard in the United States traces its origins to the 13th of December 1636, when the Massachusetts Bay Colony's General Court passed an act calling for the starting of 3 regiments, organizing existing separate militia companies in and around Boston. The creation of the militia regiments was caused by the perceived need to defend the Bay colonies against American Indians and from other European countries operating in North America. This organization formed the basis of subsequent colonial and post-independence states and territorial militias, which later became the Army National Guard. Being local gun force affiliated with the Army, militias were considered state-centric, territorial-centric in nature. This versus naval force, which were considered wholly activities of the federal government. This distinction accounts for why there are no National Guard components in the US Navy, US Marine Corps, or US Coast Guard. Because the present-day US Air Force evolved from the US Army, it was only natural that the separate Air National Guard would be established, with the divestiture of the former US Army Air Force and its establishment as a separate and independent US Air Force in 1947. The Air National Guard was officially established in law as a separate reserve component on the 18th of September 1947, concurrent with the establishment of the US Air Force. However, National Guard aviation emerged before World War I with aviation unit in Army National Guard organization. The World War II 348th Fighter Group was redesignated as the 108th Fighter Group and allotted to the New Jersey National Guard on the 24th of May 1946. It was organized at Newark Municipal Airport and extended federal recognition later that year. The 108th Wing has also been dispatched overseas during the Korean War and Bering Crisis. In April 1964, the 108th TFW received the first of their F-105B Thunderchief, replacing the aging F-86H Sabre. This made the 108th the first ANG unit capable of flying at Mach 2. The Thunderchief served with the 108th until 1981, when it was replaced by the F-4D Phantom II. In 1976, F-105B 57-5776 was selected to receive the custom American Bicentennial paint scheme to honor the country's 200th birthday. The F-105B 57-5776 was one of the lucky F-105s spared from the boneyard and have been preserved on the pedestal at what is now the 108th Air Refueling Wing, New Jersey Air National Guard compound located at McGuire FFB, New Jersey. Today, we look at 172 Republic F-105B Thunderchief, 108 TFW, 141 TFS, New Jersey ANG, Bicentennial from HobbyMaster. My upload videos are available every Thursday. Hope to see you again soon. Subscribe. Break ready now.